Hello, everyone, and good morning. As I was just introduced, my name is Miguel Montoya, or you can just call me the Honduran Michaelo, which I think is a good translation. I could not be more excited to be here because I get to talk about my favorite topic, which is how to make enterprise customers wildly successful in my favorite room, which is any room with Webflow customers, Webflow partner agencies, and Webflowers themselves. So I'm going to take this approach in two parts. The first part is giving you the frameworks and information that we use to make sure that we're driving outsized impact for our customers. And the second part, I'm going to give you a deep dive into two of the things that are the most exciting developments this year that have come from that deep partnership with enterprise customers. 1,500 and growing enterprise customers. This is one of the fastest growing segments and users at Webflow. And I want to tell you a little bit about why. Why is this group growing so fast? And when we talk to different leaders and different business owners, it really comes down to three themes that we hear from the people that we work with. We hear about speed. They need to move faster. They need to get out faster. They need to be more productive. They also hear about efficiency. We need to publish and content and edit at a speed that is unlike anything that the market has been used to. We also hear about revenue. We hear about this a lot. We need to drive incremental revenue across the entire business. So getting to go to market faster has a few ways that this shows up in Webflow, and I'll talk about a few of them. So faster time to market means supercharging your development workflows. Some of my favorite examples are up here. 40x increase in speed to publish content for ABM. PushPress, the only reason I go to my local gym is because their site is on Webflow and they're a PushPress customer. And one of my favorite examples ever is the Nursa team, Nanad, and in partnership with our Flow Ninja partners as well, have just done incredible things to make speed and efficiency a competitive advantage in how they look and rebuild their entire site and strategy. Webflow is a 2,000% leap forward, enabling us to move past incremental changes and transformational shifts in digital strategy. AEM versus Webflow, we don't need a battleship, we need a speedboat. I love this quote because it gets to the core of why so many organizations are choosing to work with Webflow. They need to be able to act and ship and execute really quickly. But how do they do that? It sounds really nice. CFOs and CROs really like that language, but how do we do it? The first is nailing the implementation. So onboarding stakeholders by role and having a map of integrations across the entire ecosystem. We're also looking at aligning the stakeholders, making sure we have the right goals, the right initiatives, and the right maps. And we look at the Webflow partner ecosystem. We love how autonomous people can be with Webflow. We also have seen the data tell us something really important, which no team and no enterprise customer moves as fast as when they're partnered with the right Webflow expert partner. And in many cases, that's Flow Ninja. Design at scale. So what does design at scale look like when you focus on that pillar of efficiency? It looks like taking decentralized teams and bloated tech stacks and completely rethinking what that can look like at scale. Some favorite examples are Helios, which did full end-to-end migration in 6 weeks, Verifone translating 29 locales in 10 days, Typeform doing a complete rebrand and being able to have 18 different people across departments push 100 content updates in a single day. And then Kajabi went from having 1 to 15 team members being able to work on that site concurrently. Switching to Webflow Enterprise gave us really powerful support. I know exactly where to go if I have a problem, but I'm also taught how to fix it. The combination of enablement and autonomy has been huge for us as we've grown up market. So I love these data points. 4 million plus in pipeline, 100 pages created in 2 hours, and minutes versus days for site updates. But again, how do we do that? How do we help teams actually get to that kind of scale? Onboarding and enablement, so tailored onboarding, success planning, implementation guidance, working with deep partnership with our solution architects to have a plan not just for the build, but for the long tail of what we're going to manage and optimize together. And publishing workflows, making sure that everybody has a role to play and ownership along the way that feels cohesive and really gets the most out of the process. One of my favorite topics, and especially for CROs and CFOs, is decreasing costs and increasing revenue. I look at this in a couple of different ways, but I want to show you some highlights. So performance, traffic, leads, and conversions. We talk a lot about this. Oyster saved 1.6 million from just site speed optimization work and trials they were doing. Jasper saw 62% increase in demo requests. And one of my favorite recent case studies about Wave is a 6% conversion across all of their paid campaigns. And then Waste Connections. This is one of the largest waste and trash companies in the world. And what I love about this use case is that we looked at an incredible opportunity across the entire business. They have 500 different trash company brands, and we focused on giving them the tools to execute in branded experiences. And that led to 57% increase in leads, 20% increase in sales, and 36% lift from single A/B test. Now this becomes a reality when we have a deep understanding of not just what the web team needs to do, but what they need to accomplish as a business. And that's another one of my favorite topics. One of the keys to how this gets done is KPIs. Web team, site, and business. And maybe you would be surprised at how many teams know only one of those. A lot of those are shared KPIs, a lot of those are different. And having a fundamental understanding how we're gonna measure success for a web team, how the business is gonna look at success for that site, and what that site is gonna do for the business. And not having a full understanding of what those KPIs do and move for the business is a huge risk if you don't start a project with that kind of understanding. Integrations, CRM, MarTech stack, backend systems. This is another one of the things that feels like it gets left for the back burner. We have to go launch a site first, and then we're gonna make everything work together. Having a fundamental view of what that looks like early on really changes the direction of what is possible and what you can build in Webflow. And lastly, multiple use cases. Building a site not just for one, but for multiple ways to attract, engage, and convert customers is one of the fastest and most impactful ways to get that kind of outsized impact from the partnership that you have. So I'm gonna now switch into the two biggest differentiators of why we are successful when we partner with customers in the enterprise. So these are the frameworks, the KPIs, the ways we approach working with customers. And by the way, I do wanna say, of everything I've shown you today, having a clear map of web team, site, and business KPIs is one of the most important and critical pieces, and there are a lot of Webflow partners that do this well. I will also say that I have not seen a partner do it any better than Flow Ninja. From the beginning of when they start to understand a customer's needs, it's like, how does this business work, and how do they make money, and what do they want to be, and what's their identity? And that's their starting process, and it really, I've seen it do incredible things for that partnership. All right, so I want to talk to you a little bit about the Webflow enterprise team that you get when you become an enterprise customer. There's some roles here: customer success manager, solutions architect, business value consultant, solution engineer, account executive. I'm going to talk to you about these three in green over here, because what we've been doing with that team has fundamentally changed and supercharged what we're able to do with customers. So one of the biggest, most common questions we do is, how do I show my bosses that things are working and that I can translate my impact of what I do to the business? So we, in partnership with our business value team, have created a format and a framework that allows us to access that at all levels of the business. It looks like this. So we understand how you are performing and how you're leveraging Webflow across these 8 pillars of value. And we take a look at this and we give you a prescriptive path for how to be successful at each one. But then that 8 is kind of a large number. So like, how do you know what to prioritize and focus on? Well, where you are drives what's possible. So we start with giving you a real-world, real-time assessment as to how you are currently leveraging. And it's not good or bad, it's just below average depending on how you're set up, and above average on the benchmark. And that brings me to the next slide. This is how we start to understand how you compare to other teams. We look at teams your size, companies in your industry, and we say, what are the best teams in these areas, and what are they doing, and how are they being successful? And we give you a benchmark to do that for. We also then say, well, from a CRO conversation we had recently, and they said my 3 priorities are growing revenue, reducing costs, and reducing risk. So then we map the pillars and tenets of the Webflow platform to the actions that are going to lead to the outcome. So we give them a plan on, you told us these were the 3 things that mattered most to your business. We're going to give you a roadmap and an assessment on how you do that successfully. And then we give you your position. Based on how you're executing today, we give you an assessment on what's going well, what are you above average and ahead of the curve, and what are you maybe lagging that we can go and take advantage of. And being this kind of prescriptive has led to some of the most revealing conversations because you can't always prioritize 8 things at once. So let's make sure that we're prioritizing the right things for your business and showcasing that in a way that your teams and your stakeholders can understand. Okay, now this is kind of the most exciting piece I've been waiting to share with you. I will be very transparent. I did not ask permission to share this with you. This is the first time that I'll be talking about some of the functionality, but I'm just too excited, so I'll be talking about it even if I was told not to talk about it. Agentic development. This has been obviously a really big topic for a lot of teams in Webflow. And what has led from the deep partnership with great partners like Flow Ninja, with great customers who are using and seeing this every day, is some of the most innovative and exciting stuff that has come out of our teams in a long time. So the market shift that I'm talking about that led to some of this discovery is our solution architects have seen a trend moving towards AI code gen for over a year. But it's accelerated significantly, and that's not something of the past. It's here right now. A couple quotes to set the stage. I'm looking for the holy grail, taking designs that we've created, plug it into AI, and have it spit out pages. That came from, Andrew from On Location. This next quote's really good too. What they're seeing, leadership, the business, is Figma Cloud integration producing super high fidelity designs in an afternoon, and then being like, cool, Cameron, let's have this done by the end of the week. So how does Webflow match this need, this huge trend, this huge pressure, and this really intense need to go execute with AI and LLMs to be able to do it even faster? Right now, we're doing it in 3 evolving ways. We're doing it with the AI assistant, so an agent that helps you execute across your site, giving you constant recommendations on how to improve. We also have our MCP. I love that graph that Guy showed earlier today. The skyrocketing usage of people using our MCP to be able to move faster, make updates faster. And the thing that I'm talking to you today about is Code to Canvas, one of the coolest projects I've seen and been a part of. This is an AI-powered generator that creates multi-page Webflow sites and underlying design infrastructure from just a few prompts and settings. And I'm going to show a little video of what that looks like today. Give me a second for the audio, or else I'll talk through it. All right, while we figure out the audio, I'm going to show you what you're actually seeing. So what we are taking, and we are starting to work with customers, is we're picking the LLM that customers are the most familiar with. We're helping them show how to build from custom designs built by Claude Code, or by Figma, or by any one of the other tools, and taking that that initial design, and taking that raw CSS, that raw HTML, and making it native in Webflow in just a few steps.
So it created this Arcline product, which is a data platform, and it gave me a great example of a homepage. It contains all the UI, all the content, all the assets. That's amazing. I built this in minutes. I think it might have been a handful of minutes. Now that this is available, now I can use another tool that my team has built, which is the context on how to build correctly, how to build in a way that is Webflow compatible too. So what we've done is we've built Claude skills. And what we encourage is whether you're coming from Claude Design or maybe you're using something like Figma, maybe you have a screenshot, maybe you have like a napkin drawing, right? Bring that into Claude, or if you are not using Claude, we can also provide just markdown files of context so that you can educate any of your LLMs. And then bring that source and transform it into Webflow compatible HTML, because that's all that we need to migrate it into Webflow. So I fed it in, I prompted it, hey, use a Webflow core skill, and convert it into a Webflow-ready version for the import. And that also took just a handful of minutes. I did a little bit of tweaking, but it was a very simple workflow. And now that I have that last final file, now I can go in and to Webflow. So I go here into my canvas. This is a new site, but you can certainly build it in an existing one because it is smart enough to know context and know when to replace classes, when to create new ones. But just for the sake of this demo, I went new. So what I'll do is I'll just spin up Code to Canvas, which is our say, built app. I'll launch it. I won't go into all the functionality, but just know that you could also just bring like a snippet of HTML. If you just want to bring like one component, you could import that here in our IDE. But for this demo, I'll just do the site import and I'll bring in the HTML file. So I have it here. I put the file. Now it's registering, hey, you have the R client homepage that you want to migrate. You want to import it. Awesome. Let's import that. It's going to go through the process. And it's essentially like an algorithm that converts HTML into Webflow HTML. And it's still going. Ultimately, this will give me a success message. It's taking even longer to import than to do it. There we go. So now I'll just exit out of the app. But now I have this HTML here. The font didn't come through because now we're in a Webflow project, right? Like if we had the font available, then it will be reflected here. But it's very easy. I can just open stuff here. Let's target the page wrapper. And then let's just change the font to like a Droid Sans. That's a pretty popular one. A sans serif. Awesome. Let me just also refresh this so that the canvas looks fine. Awesome. As you can see, these are all canvas elements now. I brought HTML and then converted into Webflow. Like all this is HTML, so it's not an image. And all the different components came in, right? All the different elements. So now I could come here and just like convert things into proper components. I can change content. Now I've imported into Webflow, and now I can do visual governance. I can build, I can change, I can add folks so that they are only editing certain pieces of content, etc. And that's pretty much how you bring something extremely quickly. You can build with the velocity of LLMs, and then you can bring it to Webflow. And if I go to preview, this is a website, right? These are all different HTML nodes, different tags, and it looks exactly the same. And now I could also go deeper. I could prompt to create like animations, and I can bring them as GSAP animations. There's a lot of flexibility that you can have. And then I can also tweak this with the MCP. I can use AI Assistant in our platform to tweak it. And I'll end up with that. So before I move into the iteration aspect, just to recap, we want folks to build any way that they want. We understand that the industry is moving extremely fast. So we want you to be able to use your AI stacks. And if you also want use native functionality, you can certainly do that. But we want to enable you, and we want to make sure that Webflow integrates. We want to convey that Webflow is your landing pad for visual building and for visual governance. You can build in external systems and then bring it into Webflow, and that's how you can move extremely fast. And you can iterate freely. You can move forward in different paths. You can use our MCP, you can use our AI assistant, or you can continue to use external tools. So essentially, we want you to move fast, and we want you to adopt the bleeding edge technology, and that's how you build with Webflow and agentic development. Hope this was helpful. Cheers to everyone.
I'm very grateful to Raul and the SA team that created this video because live demos terrify me. But what I will just recap what you just showed in this video is teams are able to start in their LLM of choice. So whether it's Claude, Gemini, even Figma, and have these rich designs that executives are like, this is great. When can it be live? And instead of having to do the usual infrastructure build, within a couple of minutes, take that Claude-generated raw HTML and CSS, and within a few minutes have it live as a native element and native components in Webflow. And what that has done for the teams that have started to use this is completely changed how they roadmap, how they resource, and how they build. And this right now is we're calling it Code to Canvas. We don't have an official release date, but if you're very excited about this kind of functionality, I'd love to talk to you about it, and I'd love to find ways to get you access, because this is the kind of thing that comes from that deep planning with customers, where they tell us, this is the new pressure I'm getting from my team, this is the new expectation, and we're using these tools right now. How do we use this with scale, with governance, with security, so that once we have these amazing designs, they can be imported into raw elements within Webflow and be able to be edited, pushed, and iterated on in ways that were not possible before the last few months. So my ask to you is if this is exciting or if this is something that fits in your workflow, I'd love to talk to you about it. I'd love to find ways to get you access. And also, we arrived at this solution from listening to what customers were telling us, were their needs, were their challenges, And we also wanted to continue in the ethos of Webflow, which is we want to make it easy for you to work where you want and how you want. So this is some of the fundamental changes that our teams have been going under and building tools to make you get advantage of them and have that CMO who told you to launch this page in a few days actually do it in a few hours with this kind of functionality. So we're incredibly excited. This is just the beginning of this kind of tooling. Excited for Code to Canvas to go live later this year, and I'd love to talk to you and any of you who would like to speak more about it. So thank you so much for your time.